Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Welcome back. Today we're going to do an oral and written retell for The Mysterious Tadpole by Stephen Kellogg. He wrote the story and he illustrated or drew the pictures. So this is from the Journeys text for second grade, lesson 26. So in this activity, we're going to turn and talk, and you can be my partner or you can have a partner at home. I'm going to ask a question where you think about your answer. I'll give you a sentence frame or sentence stem. You're going to pair up with either with me as your virtual partner or with someone from home. And then you're going to take turns sharing. So let's get started. So first we're going to review our vocabulary words. Do you remember this word? Number one, ordinary. So say it after I say it. Ordinary. Not special, not different in any way. What word? Ordinary. So repeat after me. Number two, control. You affect how it works. Power over something. Control. Number three, say it after me. Cage. Structure made with metal bars where birds and animals are kept. Cage. Number four, upset, worried, unhappy about something. Upset. Number five, sensible. Say it with me. Sensible. Smart makes good decisions. Sensible. Five, or number six, confused. Did not understand something, puzzled, confused. Number seven, training. Practiced, learning a new skill. Training. And number eight, suspiciously. The root word is suspicious. Act in a way that can't be trusted, acting in a questionable way. And I forgot to mention that training, number seven, the root word is train. Confused, number six, the root word is confuse. And number five, the root word for sensible is sense. So those all have root words with endings to it. So you will see some of these words when we match sentences to the pictures that we talk about. So The Mysterious Tadpole is a fantasy story, and a fantasy story means make believe. So it's a make believe story. There are magical places, magical things happen. Animals might act like humans, animals might wear clothes. There might be monsters, aliens, or dinosaurs. Animals might be extinct in real life. There can be events that can't happen, and the story might be funny. So many of these character traits or these traits apply to the Mysterious Tadpole. It's a make believe story, and the animal in the story is kind of like a monster, and it's not real, and these events really couldn't happen in real life, and the story is pretty funny. So here's our learning target. So read with me and then we'll repeat it again. I can retell the story, The Mysterious Tadpole, with my partner using pictures, words, and sentences. Read it with me again. I can retell the story, The Mysterious Tadpole, with my partner using pictures, words, and sentences. So here's our success criteria. That means how will you know you're successful? Well, every lesson is like climbing a lesson mountain. And here's the steps that we're going to take to reach the goal of retelling the story. So, number one, I will answer the talk about it questions. Number two, I will say and match the characters and setting. Number three, I will write or match the lesson or moral of the story, what the characters learned. And number four, I will put the retelling pictures in the correct sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I will write or match the sentences to each picture, saying what happened first, later, and last. So if you do these with me, I guarantee you will be successful in retelling the story and reaching that learning target. So, our turn and talk rules, if you have a partner at home, make sure that you, number one, you're eye to eye and you're facing your speaker. If you're sitting on the floor, you're knee to knee. Number two, first one person talks, the other person listens. So, if you have a partner, take turns. If you're my partner, make sure you're listening as well to what I have to say. Number three, then the next person talks, the other person listens. And number four, do not talk too long on your turn, or your partner will not have time to have a turn. So, with every question, you can say to your partner or out loud to me, even though I can't hear you, I want you to say your answers out loud. You can say, I agree with you, Mrs. Pearson, because, and then say why, or I disagree with you, Mrs. Pearson, because, and say why. So here's our first important event in the story, one of several. If you were to go back in the text, you could reread pages 386 to 387 to find the text evidence. So look closely at who was in the picture and what is happening. And here's our first question. So I'm going to ask the question, you're going to think about it. What does Lewis receive for his birthday? And what does he decide to do with it? So you can say Lewis receives a blank and takes it to blank. So Lewis receives a and takes it to. So make sure you say your answer in a complete sentence. And then I will share my thinking as well. So Lewis receives what he thinks is a tadpole from his uncle McAllister, and he takes it to school for show and tell. What does Miss Shelbert ask Lewis to do and why? So in the picture, we notice he's at school. He brought Alphonse to school for show and tell. So what does Miss Shelbert, here's Miss Shelbert, ask Lewis to do and why? So here's your your sentence frame. Miss Shelbert asks because, so you tell me why. Miss Shelbert asks because. So Miss Shelbert asked Lewis to bring him in every week, uh, to bring in his tadpole, Alphonse, because she wants the class to see how the tadpole changes and becomes a frog. And if you notice here, it says how the tadpole becomes the frog. So she has all the different steps of how the tadpole changes and becomes a frog. And she wants the class to learn by having him bring in his tadpole. Number two, here's another important event. If you were to reread pages 388 to 391, you could answer the questions I'm about to show you. First of all, take a good look at the picture. Who is in the picture? What is happening? So our first question is, how has Alphonse changed since the beginning of the story? So if we were to go back, we notice here's Alphonse, the little tadpole. And now look at Alphonse here. Has he changed? Yes, he has changed. So how has Alphonse changed since the beginning of the story? So think back. In the beginning, Alphonse, but now, look at him now. So say it in a complete sentence. In the beginning, but now. All right. So in the beginning, Alphonse was just a tiny little, what looked to be a tadpole, but now he's grown as big as a bathtub. He looks more like a monster than a tadpole. or even what they thought he was going to be, which was a frog. So, what problems is Alphonse causing? Look right here. What is the problem in the picture? One problem is, and then what's another problem? Also, so what problems is Alphonse causing? One problem is, also, or another problem is, so I would say one problem is Alphonse is growing way too big for the house. And I think the dad said, this is a little crowded. He's uncomfortable because he wants to take a shower, and Alphonse is living in the bathtub. Also, uh, he's growing so quickly that he can easily break things. Remember, there's the soccer ball, and Lewis and him were playing soccer in the house, and they broke an expensive vase. So that's another problem. He's growing so quickly, they don't know where to keep him. All right, next important event. Look closely at the picture. Who is in the picture? And where are they? What's the setting? And what are they doing? So you would find this information on, if you were to read the textbook, page 399 to 401. It says, describe what is happening in the picture. So remember, I said, who is in the picture? Where are they? And what are they doing? So describe what is happening in the picture. Who is the woman? There's the woman. And what has she learned about Alphonse? So Alphonse is because the woman is, and she learned. So first tell me, what is Alphonse doing? And who is the woman and what did she learn about Alphonse? Alphonse is because, and the woman is, and she learned that. So I'm going to start off by saying, what is Alphonse doing? Alphonse is retrieving a treasure chest. Remember, Lewis was taking him to dog obedience classes, and he showed him a treasure chest and he said, retrieve. So Alphonse goes down deep into the water and retrieves the lost pirate treasure chest. And so Alphonse is retrieving the treasure chest because Lewis told him to do it and showed him a picture. And who is the woman? The woman is, can't remember her name, but she's the librarian at Lewis's school. And she learned that Alphonse is the Loch Ness Monster. So, number 2, how has Alphonse's training, remember Lewis is taking him to get training, how has Alphonse's training helped Lewis? So, Alphonse's training helped Lewis because, tell me why. Alphonse's training helped Lewis because uh, they were able to retrieve the lost pirate treasure, and they were able to use that. So let's look closely at who is in this picture. If you were to reread page 402, who is in the picture? There's many different people in the picture. What is going on? What's happening? And where are they? So the question is, what is happening in the picture and what events led to this point? So there were certain things that happened before this picture. So tell me that. So Everyone is, and then tell me why. Because what happened? So everyone is together. They're building a swimming pool in the parking lot next to the school because Alphonse and Louis found the treasure and they got enough money to pay for this to happen. Remember, Alphonse didn't have a place to live because he outgrew all of the places and they didn't have money to get their own swimming pool. But because Alphonse had training, because Alphonse retrieved the treasure chest, they were able to do this. How is Alphonse like a pet in real life? And how is he different? So think about Alphonse is like a pet because, and say why. He is different or not like a pet because, and tell me why. One way he's like a pet because, and one way he's not like a pet. He is different because. So Alphonse is like a pet because he keeps Louis company. They have fun together. He retrieves things like a dog would retrieve things. But he's different because he's so much bigger than the regular house pet. He's so big that they had to build a pool for him. And he's also an imaginary creature and kind of a monster, which we don't have those types of pets in real life. So now we're going to do the retell of the mysterious tadpole. So up at the top it says name retell of the mysterious tadpole. So you're going to tell me again what happened in the story. So we're going to start with the characters. The main characters were, so say that out loud. The main characters were, and fill in the blank. The main characters were Louis and Alphonse. Those were the main or most important characters. There were other characters. The settings were, where did the story take place? The settings were home, school, and out in the community. So the story took place in many different settings. For some of the time it was at Louis's home, some of the time it was at the school, and other times it was outside in the community. So let's think what happened first, later, next, and last. So first, oh, I forgot. In the end, Louis learned that Alphonse is not an ordinary, and I put pet. He's not an ordinary pet. In fact, he's an unusual pet. Most people don't own a Loch Ness monster. So I had us do the moral or the lesson of the story because um, usually at school I give you these 3 things that you cut out and we put them in the correct place on your page. So in the end, Louis learned that Alphonse was not an ordinary pet. So let's say what happened first. Remember what happened first? Then later, then next, and last. So let's look at the first picture. Do you remember what is going on here? Who is in the picture and what's happening and where are they? So first, Louis got a tadpole for his birthday, but it was no ordinary tadpole. Louis decided to take it to show and tell. Miss Shelbert asked him to bring Alphonse in every week to watch it grow. So first, Louis got a tadpole for his birthday, but it was no ordinary tadpole. Louis decided to take it to show and tell. Miss Shelbert asked him to bring Alphonse in every week to watch it grow. Later, Let's look what's happening later. Remember, Alphonse changes. Things got out of control because Alphonse grew so quickly. Louis took him to obedience school to get more training. Everyone looked at him suspiciously, but Alphonse excelled. So if you notice, I underlined some of our important vocabulary words: control, training, suspiciously. So later, things got out of control because Alphonse grew so quickly. Louis took him to obedience school to get more training. Everyone looked at him suspiciously, but Alphonse excelled. So next, Miss Sievers, that's the librarian, told Louis that Alphonse was the Loch Ness Monster. She also told him about a sunken pirate ship. All of Alphonse's training paid off because he was able to retrieve the treasure chest. So if you look closely at what's going on in the picture, remember Miss Sievers, Louis, and Alphonse. And what does Alphonse have in his mouth? The treasure chest. So next, Miss Sievers told Louis that Alphonse was the Loch Ness Monster. She also told him about a sunken pirate ship. All of Alphonse's training paid off because he was able to retrieve the treasure chest. And last but not least, what's going on in the picture? Who is in the picture? Where are they? So last, Louis used the money from the treasure to build a swimming pool. Now Alphonse would not have to live in a cage at the zoo. So remember, the parents were like, "You're going to need to take Alphonse to the zoo." And Louis says, my animal doesn't want to live in a cage." So last, Louis used the money from the treasure to build a swimming pool. Now Alphonse would not have to live in a cage at the zoo. And once again, in the end, Louis learned that Alphonse was not an ordinary pet. So remember, ordinary was one of our vocabulary words. So boys and girls, thank you for doing this with me. Let's do our reflection. How did you do with your learning target? I can retell the story, The Mysterious Tadpole, with a partner using my words, pictures, and sentences. What would you give yourself? Reflect on your learning, just like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger are looking at themselves. You're going to look at your own self in your learning for this lesson. Would you give yourself a 4? I could teach this lesson. I easily answered the questions with my partner and completed the Retell graphic organizer. Or 3, I was able to answer most of the questions with my partner and completed the Retell graphic organizer. Or 2, I was able to answer some of the questions and completed some of the graphic organizer. Or 1, I was not able to answer the questions and did not complete the graphic organizer. Again, our goal is to get a 3 and the 4, but if you didn't this time, that's okay. Just you can always make improvement the next time you do a lesson like this. Thank you, boys and girls, and have a great day.